It's Juan and Nick for pedalsandeffects.com exclusive.
World premiere.
Premiere.
Extremely exclusive.
Yes, as extreme as it gets, really.
This premiere is so exclusive that you and I are aware of it.
Yes.
Our camera guy Scott is aware of it.
As of today.
As of this afternoon. And the three people that put the time and effort into inventing this pedal know about it.
Yeah.
So the seventh person to know about this pedal is you. So what is it?
Man, I'm stoked. Here it is.
What is that? What even is that?
Hey, wait a second. Is that a bit crusher?
This is the OTTOBIT JR by Meris. So this is a bit crusher.
Yes.
But there's thousands and thousands of bit crushers
out there. Thousands? Maybe not. Maybe. I don't even know if there's hundreds. But
there's a lot of bit crushers out there.
Yes.
But this is one of the most badass, crazy, clean, ripping bit crushers.
Yeah, supreme design.
Because it's not just a bit crusher.
Right.
Okay. So let's just start on this top row here, which is going to be the bit crushing and the filter stuff. So our bit knob, let's just run through it. All right. So, dude, also, it's so clean. There's no noise that comes out of this. I mean, this thing is sounds like super spacey and destruction right now. And it sounds so clear out of that amp.
You know, that's really good for those hard cuts. It makes it even sound more digitally sampled, right. You know, it's clean cuts.
There's some bit crushing going down. There's some bit depth. There's some sample rate.
Right.
This pedal features a beautiful filter.
Moog-esque.
It's one of the cleanest filter sweeps I've ever heard on a pedal. I mean, it sounds like a synth.
Definitely.
So, man, that's cool because I was twiddling knobs at a tempo and a rate that you were playing with, but you don't have a third hand to do that while you're playing, right?
No, I don't. I don't think I do.
So what would be amazing?
If we could hook up an expression pedal to that.
Bingo. Of course. Of course. So the expression pedal will read all the movements of the knob twiddling when you're toe up or toe down. So right now I'm going to go toe up, and we're going to set everything. I'm going to wake it all up, okay, to just chill. I'm going to chill it. And so it should be nothing. Okay, so now I'm going to drop this toe down, and I'm going to back the filter all the way off, and then I'm just going to double check all this and keep it all good. Okay, play. Okay, super cut, right? Okay, so now let's hear that.
Hey, but what if I wanted to dirty it up a little?
Okay, so let's do that. So now let's add, so we're toe down, so let's add some of this. We'll back off the filter a little bit and bump the sample rate down, so nothing. So it's a little expression pedal demo. It's very simple to use.
Yes.
It monitors all your movements. It's a little different than other assignable expression pedals in that, like we said, it reads all the movements. So there's a little bit of remembering. Like I said, you wake up the knobs. You want to make sure that you're paying attention to all that when you're assigning what this is doing. But I think it's awesome. The other really, really unique thing about it is, and this is an unassuming feature, this is a 6-step sequencer with tap tempo.
Yep, gotta have that tap tempo.
When you hold this guy down here, it acts as a secondary function to where these knobs now control the 6 different steps of the sequencer. Okay, and this guy down here will determine what you're actually sequencing through.
Right.
There's bit sequencing, there's filter sequencing, and there's pitch sequencing. Okay, so I think the one that's going to be the most obvious right off the rip is doing some pitch sequencing.
Right.
So I'm going to hold this down, and basically there's, when we're talking pitch, we can go all the way from an octave up to an octave down. Okay, when you're turned all the way to the left, it's actually going to skip that step.
Right.
Okay, when it's all the way to the right, it's going to mute that step. So in other words, if I only wanted to have 2 steps in my sequencer, I would have these set to wherever I want it to be, and then have
those counterclockwise
all the way to the left.
Right.
So it's just skipping that
Right,
step. Okay.
right.
So right now, let's skip every step but the first one. That way you can hear what's happening right here.
Okay.
So let me turn the sequencer on. We're going to get to that in a second. So right now, if I did this correctly, you should be able to play a note, and I'm going to tune it with the pitch sequencer.
Okay.
Nailed it. So right now we're only talking one step of the 6 steps. Okay,
Right.
so I'm going to hold this down and we're going to tune that. So
Nice.
okay, so there's our first step. So now I'm going to activate the second step. So go.
Right.
Okay, so then we'll do.
Can we, how about this? Can we mute this one? So we'll.
You want to mute the third one?
Yeah, let's
mute it.
So that means
Okay.
that all the way to the right.
Yes.
Clockwise.
Exactly.
Boom.
Okay, so now let's activate this guy. So we should hear 4 different. And then I will. Maybe we'll mute that last one too. So now we have a sequence built in. Okay, so now let's talk about what these actual knobs do here. So we're going to set this all back. We're at Unity for everything, so there's no bit crushing right now, so we can just hear the actual sequencer, which is awesome. The sequencer works without the the bit crushing or the filter, and same with the stutter. The sequencer knob starts on off, and then when you crank it on, you have ×1, ×2, 4, 8, and infinity. That is letting you know how many times it's going to go through the sequencer before it just stops on the last note of your sequencer, okay? So right now we have it set at 1, and we're going to set the sequence multiplier at 1, which means it's just going to go through at whatever tempo you tap into it, okay? What will happen when you crank the sequence multiplier, it will speed it up.
The sequencer,
yeah. So it'll double time it, triple time it, whatever, and then it goes up into 128 freaking times, which that's going to just sound like, but that's something that's a pretty cool sound. So right now we have the sequencer engaged. I'm going to turn the stutter off. So you should just hear that input we did, the pitch input. So now let's make it, just to make it painfully clear, I'm going to move it up to 2 times through the sequencer.
Right, okay. Boom.
Boom. Simple. I think an important thing about this is that it's simple.
Right.
There's a lot of pedals that have stumped us in the past. Stuff that has the word sequencing in it, or stuttering, or any of that stuff, I think can be scary, and you need to sit there with a manual for hours and hours to get something out of it. We figured this out.
Yeah.
So it's a bit crusher with sequencing.
Right.
The sequence has options. There's filter sequencing, there's pitch shifting sequencing, and there's bit crushing sequencing. Does that sound like enough for you?
Yeah, I would, if I could have my dream pedal, I would say, can we do some kind of sample stutter in it?
There is a stutter option in this pedal.
And not only a stutter option, but the best designed stutter option in the industry right now.
We are fans of stutter
Yes.
pedals. We've done videos on them before, and my thoughts on most of the videos that we've done stuttering with, as amazing as some of these features can be, they're always very difficult to control.
Yep.
Right?
Yes.
I feel like a question that probably we get asked a lot is, if you could have any pedal, if you could have any pedal designed, what would you want? And in the back of my head, well, I have a couple, but one of them is always some sort of neat stuttery, like sample catching delay stutter thing.
Right.
But I never know how to describe how I would actually want it made. You know what I mean? I don't know what I want it to do. I just want it to do something cool that is manageable and that is easily accessible and not just like random seeming.
Right.
Without having to put like hours and hours of homework into like 10 knobs of figuring out what it does. So this has a crazy, awesome, simple stutter feature. Okay, so within the stuttering of this pedal, there's different regions, okay? We're gonna have no stutter off.
Right.
Then you've got your stutter region 1, I guess, which would just be stuttering the note, the input of whatever note you're playing, okay? Then the second region is gonna be speeding it up, doubling it, like maybe like on a DL4. If you have it set to halftime and then record in halftime and then take it off halftime and it speeds it up, right? It's gonna have a sound like that. And then there's gonna be dropping it down halftime.
Right.
Okay, so which will drop the octave, drop it to an octave and slow it down. That's the third region, and then the last one is random, which it's going to be going through all the different regions. Plus, there's a hidden feature, which we'll talk about that in a second.
Yeah.
But there's like, quarter notes. There's halftime triplet sound. So there's not just 4 stutter options. There's a whole bunch.
Right. Inside that.
A world full of stuttering. When it grabs the note, you want to input this tap tempo, and it's basically going to grab every other note of the tempo, right? Now we're going to go a little faster. Let's go into the halftime one now. So who is Meris?
Yes.
Meris is an emerging pro audio company with a rich history of pedal building.
Yes.
Now that probably is weird because for all intents and purposes, if you're watching this, there's a good chance that you have not heard of Meris yet because they are, for the last few years, they were focused on pro audio stuff. Okay. So their thing was 500 series.
Yes.
Which 500 series is like rack mount things.
Synths, yeah, synth modules, right? But also
compressors,
effects.
This pedal did exist in a 500 series, a version of this pedal, the OTTOBIT, which this is the OTTOBIT Jr. Meris was started by a husband and wife named Terry and Gina.
They came from Strymon.
Early days of Strymon.
Right.
Helped build Strymon from the ground up.
Right.
And these two folks branched off and started Meris. This is their first pedal.
Right.
The other important thing of note about these guys is, what does that say right there?
Yes, designed and built in Los Angeles, California, where we both live.
So, designed and built by 3 people in Los Angeles, California.
Right.
You got Terry, you got Gina, and then you got Angelo. Angelo was the one in charge of the Line 6 Purple FM4,
right,
which is one of my favorite synth filter pedals. Everyone knows that I use that a whole bunch. So basically, you have these three wizards putting their heads together, and for a few years, they're making 500 series compressors. I think maybe there's a reverb. I wasn't super familiar with that, what their line was. I think they may have had 3. And then they hit us up a couple months ago and said, hey, we're doing a bit crusher. And it was like, cool, bit crusher.
Right.
That's cool. Like, you guys are getting into the pedal game. I'm interested to check it out. I like bit crushers. But again, it's just like, we've heard bit crushers before and they're cool and we always like checking out new ones. Well, this one is a mind-blowing bit crusher.
Yeah, I mean, when I walked in, I go, what are we going to see? And there's like a low-level excitement because it's, there's some really great bit crushers out there, and how much better could it be?
Well, I mean, look, there's so much stuff around here, so it's just, you could get, I don't want to say skeptical, but when new pedals pop up, you're like, okay, cool, well, I'll check that out. There's never I guess we're a little like numb to new pedals and new builders and people coming out with new stuff. I mean, I'm always excited to check out things from our friends and, manufacturers, but you're right. It's not always like, we don't always get hyped up over like, hey, we're gonna bring a pedal by and you're gonna check it out.
And I spun into the studio here, and I walk in, and because Nick was here before me, and they were getting sounds out, and as soon as I turn the corner, I go, oh, this is insane. Already I'm stoked, but I know Nick's gonna be flipping. And I walk up, and Nick just shows me it, and he just goes, yeah, check this out. And that was it.
What I was talking about them with is how it's pretty crazy that right out the gates they did this.
I know, right?
As opposed to like a delay pedal or like a fuzz or whatever, which is all good, but this is bold.
Ballsy.
Yeah.
Straight up like, we're coming out with fire.
I got this Pac-Man sound.
Can I hear it?
Yeah, peep it.